Hi, this is the History Surah, Casa Surah. In the name of God most gracious, most merciful. These constitute proofs of this profound book. So we see that there are a lot of studies made about Muqatta letters. It is about the organization of the book and patterns, mathematical patterns used in the book. And it shows that, it also proves that the revelation of the Quran is indeed miraculous, and the organization was predetermined previously, and it makes it unique in structure. First, we see that it is so poetic, so you can make it that easy, that poetic, with mathematical pattern, with original philosophical arguments, and also the things about the law. It is perfectly suitable. And another interesting thing is that we don't see such people, like we don't see any human to write and think like this. This is not how humans think. We don't think like this. We don't make like this. So this can be only, and it's something that we can use. And another thing is, so some people can say like, okay, let's assume that this is the truth. Okay, this Muqatta letters have something to do with uh, evidence of the book. So, but the book really refers that? This is important question. So book should refer that to. Otherwise, they can say like, okay, you claim that, but why God didn't refer this? So we see that in this translation. I'm not sure about the other translations, but I don't know that. I'm not very uh, good at etymology, but these constitute proofs of this profound book can be interpreted as can be referred to the previous one. So it shows that it was also mentioned and referred in the Quran itself. So it's something like a huge miraculous thing actually. Some we research and also read the Arabic literature, and there are beautiful poems I see, but I don't see something like this. This is very original, and they don't have any calculation methods. They don't have any computers. It's not easy to write something. So yeah, let's read it, and it is consistent also. We recite to you here in some history of Moses and Parah, truthfully for the benefit of people who believe. So this is a story that is a quite important story, and we see that now they're torturing people in Palestine, and so I know that these people in Palestine are not really living that peacefully, and they're not like best people on the world, but they don't deserve to be killed that wildly. Para turned into a tyrant on earth and discriminated against some people. He persecuted a helpless group of them, slaughtering their sons while sparing their daughters. He was indeed wicked. And we see that how God is merciful. And we have to see what Para did, because in the previous atheist arguments, I saw that, I remember that they claimed that, okay, why Para why God didn't warn him more or something like that. So he is actually leading these events of killing innocent people. He's a very bad king, and he has a bad authority, and he's about to exceed the limits. And so I told it before, like once someone, so there is a limit of the people's sin. So if they try to exceed that limit, and God is there are some mechanisms that other people are against it. They come against them, and they they even they have less power. They become sort of a leader. So if you look at the nature of the story, it is illogical actually. Like I think I mean the illogical part is that Musa is has no one, and without God's help, it's impossible. It's not really possible that he can defeat the king, and he has all the power. So that it's only possible with God, and we can explain it using Quranic verses and Quranic understanding. We will to compensate those who were oppressed on earth and turn them into leaders and make them inheritors, and try to establish them on earth and to give power of Haman and their troops a taste of their own medicine. We inspired Moses' mother. So it shows that God gave God was planning this from the beginning. So this is interesting that God it shows that God has planned the book, and God has even planned this from the God is not thinking like humans, and God is thinking like like cats cannot understand humans. I gave this example before, and we have huge planning skill. Like we have great planning skills, and cats cannot understand us. And so think that God is something like God is planning everything, and everything is in according to the law of the God. We inspired Moses' mother, nurse him, and when you fear for his life, throw him into the river without fear or grief. We will return him to you, and we will make and will make him one of the messengers. Pharaoh's family picked him up, only to have him led to opposition and to be a source of grief for them. That is because Pharaoh, Haman, and their troops were transgressors. Pharaoh's wife said, "This can be a joyous fun for me, and you do not kill him, for he may be of some benefit for us, or we may adopt him to be our son." They had no idea. So later we see that Pharaoh's wife will convert to the Muslim because she's a good person. And so here we see that what is the sin here? Slaughtering. And Pharaoh's wife is a good person, and she's helping good person, and she's saving lives. The mind of Moses' mother was growing so anxious that she almost gave away his identity. But we strengthened her heart to make her a believer. She said to his sisters, "Trace his path." She watched him from afar while they didn't pursue. We forbade him from accepting all the nursing mothers. Dan said, "I can show you a family that can raise him for you, and they could take good care of him." Thus we restored him to mother, in order to please her, remove her worries, and to let her know that God's promise is truth. However, most of them do not know. So here another thing is that God is such merciful that God thinks that she's a good person, cannot stand her son to be taken. And so if God didn't allow it, maybe she will feel sad because taking away her son from him. So God is even thinking about Moses' mother, and so when he reached the maturity and strength, we endowed him with wisdom and knowledge. We thus reward the righteous. Once he entered the city unexpectedly without being recognized, he found two men fighting. One was a Hebrew from his people, and the other was from his enemies. The one from his people called on him for help against his enemy. Moses punched him, killing him. He said, "This is the work of the devil. He is a real enemy and profound misleader." He said, "My Lord, I have wronged my soul. Please forgive me." And he forgave him. He is the forgiver most merciful. So we see that this is a sin, indeed, for him. He thinks that he repent. And interestingly, thematically, I said before that there are consistent themes in the Quran. And being good and killing person them was overly mentioned here. So slaughtering their sons, and and Moses' mother is also about life and death situation here. And so here, do not kill him. Another them here, and he found two men fighting. One was a Hebrew from his people. So he's at killing now. So the thing is, he commits that sin, and that sin makes him think differently. So he becomes someone else, and And before he was part of the group and did it maybe for nationalistic or some group feeling. And it's actually close to the para, right? He is also a killer. But he regretted so badly. And he said, My Lord, in return for your blessings upon me, I will never be a sport of the guilty ones. In the morning he was in the city, afraid and watchful. The one who sought his help yesterday asked for his help again. Moses said to him, You are really it. So this is another test for Moses. So God said that God forgave him. Another test is like, what are you doing? He's asking like, you are really a troublemaker. Before he attempted to strike their common enemy, he said, "O Moses, do you want to kill me as you killed the other man yesterday? Obviously you wish to be a tyrant on earth. You do not wish to be righteous." A man came running from the other side of the city saying, "O Moses, the people are plotting to kill you. You better leave immediately." So another killing then. I'm giving you good advice. He fled the city afraid and watchful. He said, "My Lord, save me from the oppressive people." As he travelled towards Midian, he said, "May Lord guide me in the right path." When he reached Midian's water, he found a crowd of people watering and noticed two women waiting on the side. He said, "What is it that you need?" They said, "We are not able to water until the crowd disperses, and our father is an old man." He watered for them, then turned to the shade, saying, "My lord, whatever provision you send to me, I am in dire need for it." Soon one of the two women approached him shyly and said, "My father invites you to pay for watering for us." When he met him, told him story, she said, "Have no fear, you have been saved from the oppressive people." One of the two women said, "Oh my father, hire him. He is the he is the best one to hire. He is strong and honest." So we see that he is strong in the previous verses, right? He is killing a person with one punch, and he is honest, and we can also see in the text, and he's being honest, and he says, "Repent, repents," and he regrets it, and uh, and he's helpful also. He said, "I wish to offer one of my two daughters for you to marry in return for working for me for 8 pilgrimages. If you make them 10, it will be voluntary on your part. I do not wish to make this matter too difficult for you. You will find me willing, God willing, righteous." So another thing is, so Musa is being aggressive, and this is like some period of time that maybe he did. It has something to do maybe his hormones, and it's like a sort of a marriage, sort of a solution for that maybe. And this is interesting. This is like, once they tell about the period of adolescence and growing, marriage is part of it. So he said, "It's an agreement between me and you. Whichever period I fulfill, you will not be averse to either one. God is the guarantor of what we said."